What is going on, my lovely ladies and gentlemen of the world? Another evolution has come and gone, and the big story of the weekend, obvious to everybody, the thing everyone is talking about, nobody can shut up about. Enkidu made top 3 at UNIST on the side tournament. Screw the 250,000 people that tuned in to Dragon Ball FighterZ. Forget the 200,000. By the way, as far as I'm aware, that completely smashed everybody else looking to watch shit on Twitch, so good for them. But yeah, forget everything else that happened. And Enkidu made top 3. And my favorite part of it is how everybody was like, see, I told you Enkidu was fine. Like, bitch, no, you're taking the wrong thing away from here, you know, because this is the problem with narratives in general. I'm going to lean a bit away from fighting game shit, but it's one of the most common logical fallacies that people commit is confirmation bias. You ignore you have a point of view. And this point of view may be controversial, it may be unsupported in the majority of the world, but you believe differently. And so the second that anything occurs that can even slightly lend credence to your point of view occurs, you rush out, you grab it, you grip it as hard as you can, you'll never let it go, right? You're ignoring everything else that points to the contrary, everything else that has stated that you are wrong, but you found one little tidbit of info that helps your argument. You're like, yep, that proves everybody else wrong. I'm right. Just in a landslide. See, Enkidu's fine. He doesn't need anything. I mean, who cares that he has the worst frame data anybody's ever seen in fighting games? Who cares that all of his enders run completely contrary to his entire game plan? Who cares that a bunch of his moves glitch the fuck out and don't even work properly half the goddamn time? He's fine, right? Like, the biggest thing, too, that pisses me off about this, I actually didn't mean to go on this big of a rant, but the biggest thing that actually pisses me off about this is that people just completely discount the fucking phenomenal gameplay that Psycho handled in her run up to top 3. Like, I mean, like I said, everybody's just like, oh, look at that, Enkidu's fine, he doesn't need anything, I've always told you guys he's not as bad as everybody says, he's perfectly viable, blah blah blah. See, the thing is, no Enkidu player that I'm aware of has ever stated Enkidu sucks, you'll never win with him, he's not worth playing, and just give him up, right? Like, nobody's ever said that I have personally seen. The only shit that I have seen, including from Psycho herself, is Enkidu's a struggle. He's gonna be a fucking struggle. Be prepared for that. Yes, you can win, but you're gonna have to work harder to do so than everybody else in the cast. He's a difficult character to play. It's extremely difficult to get a run with him, to gain momentum with him, and to keep momentum with him. And that's what this game is all about. And because that's so difficult for him, you're gonna have a difficult time, especially when you're just starting out and you're trying to learn the game, right? And people are acting like this entire time we've been like, Enkidu can't win shit, he can't do anything, you're gonna have a 0% win rate with him for your entire lifetime of playing him, he sucks and you can't do anything with him. Like, no, nobody has said that. It's just when you're looking at this game and you're like, I could struggle my ass off, have to play my heart out just to squeak by and get victories. Alternatively, I could pick somebody like, I don't know, Akatsuki, Seth, Phonon, Batista, put in half the fucking effort, half the mental work, and still come out ahead. Maybe I'll lean towards the other ones, you know, like, that's the entire thing, is that it kind of irritates me that it's like these people that are popping out of the woodwork are like, I mean, I know that I am harping on about this, but the reason why is because this is not an Enkidu specific thing. This is not an UNIST specific thing. This happens every single time somebody wins with a character that people perceive, or at least somebody does well with a character that people perceive to be subpar. And people just come out of the woodwork and are like, See, that character is fine. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. Most of these people are people that have never touched the character in their life as well, which is a really, really nice when people come out with all of their ignorance all at once. But regardless, and it just completely discounts the level of play that that person played at. Like, Psycho played out of her fucking mind. If you saw these matches, if you didn't see these matches, you need to go find the VOD. Hopefully it's posted somewhere, or hopefully it's officially posted somewhere on YouTube. Fuck the people that just run and grab that shit and try to post it as soon as possible to get views to their channel when they're not affiliated with it in any way, shape, or form. Try to dodge those. But the person that streamed UNIST pools on Friday was twitch.tv Dark and Arc. So just Dark and Arc. And it got streamed on Evo 2, I want to say. The top 4 on Saturday. And so if you want to look for the VODs, you can go to either one of those and just watch them. Alternatively, wait for Evo to post them. I'm sure they'll at least post the top 4. But yeah, but still, like, it irritates me because I really feel like it does pull away from the absolutely amazing effort that Psycho put in. And she deserves all the credit in the world for, again, just playing out of her mind and doing so incredibly well. And despite the character that she picked, that should be the big thing. Like, this person made top 3 despite picking Enkidu. How godlike is that? That should have been the whole kind of thing behind it. So anyway, like I said, I popped off way harder than I wanted to on that. I meant to just kind of mention it as kind of a side note. But yeah, it is irritating to see that kind of mentality, that kind of thing, that's because it's so thoughtless and baseless, and it just, like, it's completely dismissive of everything anybody that's tried to succeed with Enkidu has gone through, including Psycho herself. And that just sucks to see. So anyway, moving on, what else was there? I forgot to highlight my shit. So I would say, actually, the biggest story for anime in general was Lost Soul. And I know that sounds weird because Sonic Fox won Dragon Ball FighterZ, but honestly, Dragon Ball FighterZ isn't real enough. It's too fucking easy. We're sitting over here looking at the difference between Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like, come on, man, they're two different worlds. Guilty Gear is a game that actually requires... I shouldn't get into this. Guilty Gear is a wonderful, amazing fighting game. And for a very long time, we as in America, honestly just the rest of the world outside of Japan, looked completely and utterly hopeless against Japanese competition. Every single year we actually had, no, except for last year. Did we have somebody last year? Oh shit, I need to go check this out. Hang on. As far as I'm aware, every single year we've had one person that is not Japanese in top 8. And every single time that person got knocked out, they made it in losers top 8, and every single time they got knocked out in losers top 8. But I don't think last year, yeah, last year we had nobody. But the first year it was at Evo was for Exard Sign, and Zidane made it with Leo. 2016 was Marlon Pie's year, he got there with Zato. And then, oh that's right, because last year Bears almost made it. Bears got 9th. Oh, that was heartbreaking to see. Bears got 9th, Hotashi got 13th, and Kid Viper got 13th. Bears losing was heartbreaking. Bears is so cool. He's one of my favorite players. Anyway, but so this year, Lost Soul made it. And I have hyped up, like, every opportunity I've had to hype up Lost Soul, which admittedly hasn't been very often because I haven't really gotten too involved with Guilty Gear, I've hyped him up. If any of you were around, if any of you were watching the early Dragon Ball FighterZ stuff, I was throwing him out there as a potential competitor to Sonic Fox early on, because I knew how godlike he was at Guilty Gear, and that skill is inevitably going to translate to any other fighting game he plays. He dominated the East Coast for a very long time. He was completely unbeatable. And so I always thought, like, if Lost Soul ever actually fucking manages to make it to a real tournament with real international competition, I think he's going to body some people up. Lo and behold, Justin Wong gets like I don't know if it was, I don't know how it was handled, if it was like some actual tournament series or if Justin Wong, like, I think it actually might have been some fan voting thing. Anyway, regardless, Justin Wong sponsored Lost Soul, paid for his trip out to Evo, and he represented the quote-unquote Wong Nation, and he performed phenomenally. He performed amazingly. Absolutely phenomenal run, and the only person that he wound up losing to Machabo. Which, like, that is not a play. If you ever lose to Machabo, you can't be ashamed of that. You just can't. Like, Omito actually kind of killed the tournament for me, if I'll be perfectly honest, because none of his matches were hype. He steamrolled every single person he played against. It was actually ridiculous how well he was playing all weekend long, and obviously he's using the best character in the game, so he has that on top of it. But, like, oh my god, he played monstrously. I did not see a single match where he looked even slightly challenged. He just rolled through everybody. It was actually, I take that back. Wasn't his set against Rion pretty close? I think he went 3-2 in that one, maybe. Either way, it never felt like he was ever close to losing, I guess would be, or no, it couldn't have been 3-2 because it was only 3 out of 5 for top 3. Anyway, I'm running off the trail over here. I think, aside from Omito, the top 8 was absolutely amazing. But like I said, it really does feel like Omito kind of ruined the tournament a little bit because of how dominant he was. And those kind of matches really just aren't that enjoyable to see, right? Where somebody just gets curb stomped, where it doesn't even look like they even had a chance to win. Like, who wants to watch that? Who cares about that? It's not hype. It's not exciting. There's no tension whatsoever in the match. So it's not really that enjoyable to watch. Unless you're a huge fan of Johnny and you want to just see the best player in the world play the best character in Guilty Gear, and you get off on that, then you probably enjoyed the shit out of it. But for obvious reasons, I think Johnny has shit all over Guilty Gear for long enough, and now he's won Evo 2 years running, and that shit needs to stop. But unfortunately, we're stuck with that for a very long time, because after Guilty Gear, instead of what I thought it was a shoo-in that a new Guilty Gear, either some kind of patch, something Guilty Gear related, the game specifically, was going to be announced. Because otherwise, why would it be featured on Sunday over BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, which had, I think, like 200, 300 more entrants, something like that? People showed up for the game, gotta give it that. And unfortunately, that wasn't it. All they did was announce a tournament series, which has been happening now. I think, I know Injustice had their own, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite even had their own. Nobody watched it. Probably most people didn't even know about it, but it did have its own alongside the Capcom Pro Tour. Obviously, the Capcom Pro Tour was the very first one that did it. Tekken World Tour is going on as well. Dragon Ball FighterZ, after it was released, obviously this is by Bamco, so they're going to do a Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour as well. I'm not sure. I feel like Killer Instinct did one as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, a ton of fighting games have hopped on this train of running their own tournament series surrounding their games. And so now it's finally Arc System Works' turn, and they announced a year-long tournament series that would ultimately culminate in one final big hurrah for their 3 main games, for Guilty Gear, Exard Revelator, for BlazBlue Central Fiction, and for BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Now, unfortunately, I was not excited for this at all, because what this essentially does is completely shit on the idea that anything's going to happen to Central Fiction or Guilty Gear for at least for the next year, because they're not going to come out with like for BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Oh, excuse me. For Cross Tag Battle, obviously we're going to be seeing more of the DLC characters coming out. Obviously, there are rumors floating around of a potential another season, and they also had that teaser, which I didn't watch it myself, but apparently they are teasing another. They officially revealed, they have finally announced that leaked list that came out ages ago is completely true, so they officially revealed all the remaining characters, whoever the hell they are, and they had also a teaser on there that there was going to be like another crossed path or something like that. So basically hinting at the fact that some other series is going to gain representation inside of the game. So that's going to be receiving further updates. But now we're basically guaranteed that there is not going to be a new BlazBlue. to now potentially start up a new story, because obviously Mori has said Ragnar's story is over. So there's not going to be anything new for BlazBlue, at least for the next year. There's not going to be anything new for Guilty Gear for at least the next year, because they're not going to replace these games midway through an official company-run tournament series, nor are they going to release a game, a brand new game, regardless of, you know, which series it's from, at the same time, and then say, like, but this game isn't going to be run in our tournament series. We're still going to stick with Revelator or Central Fiction. So, you know, you can play that game off to the side if you would like. All the other tournaments in the world are going to be running this, but you need to make sure you keep your game up with BlazBlue and with Central Fiction and Revelator off on the side. They're not going to do that. So basically what they did is just completely shit on the idea that we're going to see anything new for Central Fiction or Revelator, and I think it's pretty set in stone that neither one of those games are going to get patched either. So we're stuck with the current versions of those games, which I firmly believe to be some of the weakest in the series history, and we're stuck with those for the next year while this tournament series runs its course, and they'll probably have some announcements at the end of the tournament series. So that actually really sucked for me, to basically say, like, alright, yeah, you're stuck with the current Guilty Gear balance patch where we kicked Answer in the dick, curb stomped Biking out of existence, fuck those characters. We put them in the game, we hyped them up, they were poor at the start, and we're just going to keep them completely unviable inside the game itself. Nobody's going to play them, nobody's going to see them, fuck those characters, but let's buff Johnny and Kai. Thanks, guys, appreciate that. And guess who's number 1 and number 2 in Guilty Gear Grand Finals of Evo? Johnny and Kai. What a fucking surprise. So, suffice to say, there's a fair bit of salt surrounding that whole ordeal, surrounding my whole ordeal of the anime games in general, because I mean, you guys know I've harped on it enough. I'm not gonna hop onto it again, but you know my current feelings of pretty much everything Arc System Works related at the moment. The only hope I have is UNIST. I need that shit to pop off and become the most popular game in the world somehow. Somebody needs to win the lottery and purchase 1 million copies of UNIST with that lottery money and just hand them out at tournaments and get people to play them. Force people to play them. Do some kind of psychology shit that gets these people addicted to UNIST so they play thousands upon thousands of matches so I can play thousands and thousands of matches against them. Please, do something. I beg of you. Anyway, enough of that. But yeah, Guilty Gear was the shit. Guilty Gear was definitely my favorite tournament there, for sure. Out of the main games, at least. I mean, like I said, UNIST is my favorite fighting game out right now. Tekken 7 was close, a very close runner-up, but I feel like it kind of flagged at the end. Like, Lil Majin's run in Tekken 7. So may as well just transition to Tekken 7 here. Lil Majin's run on King, like, he played so phenomenally, and unfortunately, it looked like the pressure just got to him at the end once he finally hit. Because I think, did he hit Winners Finals? I can't remember if he got to Winners Semis and then lost. Because he beat JDC. Yeah, he did get to Winners Finals because he was in top 8. He won his first top 8 match against JDCR, and so that put him in Winners Finals. And then he lost to Low High. And then he lost in Losers Finals to Kudans. And then, so it was Grand Finals, Low High versus... No. Am I bugging out? Jesus Christ, I need help. I feel like he lost to JDCR. Like, I thought it was JDCR versus Kudans in Grand Finals. I hate my life. No, it was Lil Majin. Okay, I got it right. Lil Majin beat JDCR, lost to Low High. And then in Losers Finals, unfortunately, he lost to Kudans. And then Low High wound up winning the tournament with Shaheen, which I don't think anybody really saw coming. Because that's one of the beautiful things about Tekken 7 is the depth of the character pool that you see inside the game itself. It's something very rare to see in fighting games in general. And Tekken 7 has achieved really any character you can win with in tournament. I would say an outlier potentially is Gigas. I've seen some really fucking good Korean Gigas play, but I've never seen one of them actually show up in tournament and perform well there. But I don't know if that person just doesn't travel or whatever, but I think if they did show up, I can't remember their name. I think it's like Dosaring or something like that. That dude ever did show up, I think he would tear some people up. But other than that, I mean, whenever I tune in, I see a different variety of characters, and that's really nice to see just from a spectator perspective, and you have to give respect to the developers of the game for balancing it out that well where anybody can use anybody. And then you have a bunch of the top players too, which they'll switch between like 5 different characters. Nee, for instance, I know he has a huge pool. JDCR has switched between a ton of different characters. He's basically locked himself on Dragunov for a while now, but he's definitely shown he can play a variety of characters. It's really cool to see. Anyway, so yeah, Tekken 7 was really fucking cool. They announced a new Season's Pass. They announced a Walking Dead guest character, which I don't think anybody saw coming. They can probably do it. I mean, they brought in... Actually, you know what? That is a character I've never seen. I have never seen anybody play Noctis. I have never seen anybody on anybody's stream playing Noctis. I've just never seen that character. That character may as well not exist in the game. I don't know if he's just bad or hopefully people boycotted it because Final Fantasy 15 was a shit game. But I've never seen that character in a tournament setting. I've seen Geese and I've seen Akuma. I've never seen Noctis. So, I don't know what that's about. But, yeah, they announced a new Season Pass, a variety. They showed off 2, I believe, returning Tekken characters. They mean nothing to me because I know jack shit about Tekken. But the crowd got hyped for them, so that's good. Seems like they are fan favorites that would like them to come back. And I think there were 3 other, normal silhouettes. And then I think the final silhouette was the Walking Dead. I don't know if he's a villain. I don't know anything about The Walking Dead. I've never seen that TV show. But yeah, I mean, make it work, man. NRS has been doing some wacky-ass guest characters because they have the entirety of, like, the Warner Brothers catalog to work from since Warner Brothers owns NetherRealm Studios. They can just use that entire thing. So you've seen things like Alien, Jason, why am I blanking on the dude's name from Nightmare on Elm Street? Whatever the hell that dude's name is. All that stuff. Hellboy's coming in soon. They got a bunch of wacky-ass guest characters. Why not do it in another series, too? I know why, because honestly, those characters look like booty in the games they've been put into. Regardless, I mean, hey, they're probably making money off of it, maybe, or they had to pay for it. I don't know why you would pay for the the Walking Dead. That seems strange. Anyway, yeah, Tekken 7 was hype, except for, again, I think, like, the final... Honestly, I don't know if I'm just, like, shot of energy by the time I get there or what, but it really felt like the grand finals of the games that I watched were the most boring matches of all of the tournament. Like, I mean, I mentioned it before with Guilty Gear, the grand finals of that was just... It was just Omito walking all over Makabu, so, like, who... Whatever. Is it Machabu or Makabu? I've heard it both ways. I've also heard Makabo. Because it used to be spelled with 2 O's, but now it's only with 1. So I don't know where that's going. I don't know anything. How to pronounce names and stuff. But yeah, like, it was just Omito smashing. So that's going to be kind of boring regardless. I didn't watch Melee. I didn't really... Tekken 7. I think it was just like all the energy from Lil Majin. Because he played so well. And he did so many amazing things. And it was so nice. I think it was the energy. I think it was literally just crashing down. The energy from that kind of took away from the grand finals for Tekken 7. But then Dragon Ball FighterZ, I don't know. I don't enjoy watching it. I think it's too simplistic. Like, everything's a bit too predictable. I think that's the only game that I've seen where the commentators were consistently saying this player is gonna do X, and they were right the majority of the time. Like, I've never seen that happen before in a fighting game where commentators are just sitting there and saying, alright, he got the hard knockdown off of, like a level 3 or whatever, and now this is what he's gonna do next. And they were right the majority of the time. That really kind of was like, oh, shit, is it really that predictable? Goddamn. But yeah, I mean, you guys know my feelings of Dragon Ball FighterZ, but Sonic Fox took it all. Been a long road. Obviously, he's lost to Fenrich, I believe, a few times. He's lost to Dogura. I mean, he's lost to everybody that's, a high level. He's lost to Kazunoko, like all the big Japanese names. And he smashed them all this weekend. it was starting to look rough in the grand finals for a little bit, but then he did that break and that weird-ass side switch. I don't know what the point of that was. If there was actually, I mean, even the commentators were wondering about this, if there was an actual, like, gameplay point of that. Because, for instance, in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there were some things that only worked if you were on the one-player side. Some kind of combos or setups that only worked if you were on the first-player side. I'm kind of curious if maybe he found something like that, but some people, it's just an execution thing. Some people find it easier to perform on the first player side than they do on the second player side. That was something that people figured out actually about Apology Man. For a very long time, they found out that he wasn't as good, I believe, on the second player side. And so they would actually force a coin flip before they played him every single time to hopefully get the first player side and not give that to him, which was kind of amazing. But so it could have been something like that. I don't know. It was very strange, and it took way too fucking long. It took like probably 10 minutes for that entire thing to get settled. It was pretty ridiculous. So that was just a really strange moment. Shinron got summoned, though, twice by Goichi. I think the first time was when he lost to him in the winner's side bracket. And then the second, he managed to do it again in the grand finals, and I think he lost both of those matches. What was truly the most amusing point to me about the entire thing was that, like, again, I haven't really paid that much attention. The last match I really watched for Dragon Ball FighterZ was the first exhibition match between Sonic Fox and Goichi, where Goichi just smashed Sonic Fox to the curb. So all the credit in the world for Sonic Fox to come back from that and put in all the work necessary to come in and win Evo. Like, he deserves it completely. But so that was the last match I actually watched seriously, and so I kind of sort of paid attention. Like, I do this with all fighting games. I kind of make sure I keep at least in the loop as to what's going on with them. And so with Dragon Ball FighterZ, I saw, you know, like, oh, here they're patching this. Most of it's pretty much all bug fixes, maybe a new mode added in, or maybe like in addition to whatever modes are already in there, whatever, stuff like that. And I noted that, you know, they nerfed 16, they nerfed Vegeta's assist, which didn't do anything to get rid of Vegeta, but for a very long time after that, I never saw 16. I did not see a single player using Android 16. Now, to be fair, again, I wasn't really paying close attention, but I would see, like, oh, some tournaments going on this weekend, let's see who's there, let's see who's playing right now, and they would never be using 16. And so I said that, I mentioned that. And a few people were like, people are still using 16, I don't know what you're going on about. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. So then it kind of amused me that I said that. And then here comes Sonic Fox with a new team that I haven't seen. The last time I saw him playing, he was using that Gotenks team. And here he is with a brand new team, Bardock, Zamasu, and Android 16. There he is. He just won Evo. Egg on your face, bitch. That amused me. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so, like I said, all the credit in the world to him. Bardock is overpowered, though. That's the entire, like I said, I haven't really paid attention since before Bardock came out. And now that I've actually seen Bardock in action, whoo, that dude is nutty. I now see why he is on basically everybody's team. He's a really fucking good character. So, and he's definitely that, like, toeing the line between, I think, like, I don't really feel like Cell does this, but it's not as close as Bardock, I think. But there's kind of that line where it's like, alright, this character's a bit too strong, let's bring them down a little bit. Whereas I always felt like, you know, 16 and Cell were at that ceiling where you want characters to be. Where they're at a level of strength that you're like, alright, they're very strong, they have very clear strengths, you can't really go wrong picking them, but they're not overpowered. They don't ruin the game. Their existence doesn't ruin the game. And I don't think Bardock does that either at all. I don't think he's that strong. But I definitely think he's toeing the line closer than anybody else in Dragon Ball FighterZ. But I feel like those characters that I just mentioned should have been the benchmark to raise the rest of the cast up. You shouldn't be looking to nerf these characters. You shouldn't be looking to nerf various assists. You should be looking to bring the rest of the stuff that's available in the game in line with that strength. Do your best to balance it around that, rather than bringing the ceiling down even further. And I think that would make for a more exciting and varied game. But obviously, I'm not the developer, so I will. That's basically my entire thought of Dragon Ball FighterZ. They announced Cooler, which he looked really cool. Like, fuck, man, I can't. Like, regardless of all of my feelings about Dragon Ball FighterZ, the game is so goddamn beautiful. It's so gorgeous, like, because just watching the cooler thing, it's like he looks like such a cool character, but I know, you know, like, if I actually tried to play him, I know where it would go, I know where my mind would end up, but regardless, it looks so fluid, it looks so nice, it had so much potential. You know what my favorite part actually was about that entire Dragon Ball FighterZ tournament? Had nothing to do with the actual game. At the end, Sonic Fox was standing in line, and he was wearing his fursuit. And my favorite thing about it was, you know, one of the dudes, well, I don't actually know what his name is, but he's obviously somebody official in the Evolution organization, and he always hangs the medals around people's necks for top 8. And so, obviously, you can't get a medal around that gigantic fucking head he's wearing. And so he actually kind of put on a show of trying to get it over his head. It was really funny. That made me laugh. That was a good time. And then after that, it's like Street Fighter V. I didn't even stay up for it. It was taking way too long, and I finally started sleeping consistently, which is a wonderful thing for me. I'm not gonna ruin Street Fighter V for that. I mean, I'm not gonna ruin that for Street Fighter V. Fuck that. So I actually found out later on that they announced G and Sagat at the same exact time, and then they also said, hey, they're gonna be available to play tomorrow. That was a fucking surprise. Good on Capcom. Like, as far as I'm aware, they kept that shit under wraps. I think we all know how difficult it is to keep things under wraps these days. Like, I mean, like I said, I just mentioned earlier about BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. The entire DLC roster of 20 additional characters was leaked like a week after it was announced that there would be DLC characters. That shit got immediately released to the public. So the fact that they managed to keep that under wraps, that they were going to not only show off G, which I think a lot of people saw coming, that they would show off the next character in line, but that they would also show off Sagat and release them the next day? Gotta give it to Capcom on that. They pulled some good shit there. So good for them. But yeah, like, I didn't watch any of the matches. I didn't see any of it. Like, I went and I did something after Dragon Ball FighterZ ended. What did I do? I think I made dinner or something. I can't even remember what I did, but I basically walked away for almost 2 hours, and then I come back and they've only gotten through 3 matches. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not staying up for this shit. I can't do it. Because mostly what I wanted to see was the viewer counts. I wanted to see what was going to pull in the most viewers. So obviously, Guilty Gear being at 8 a.m. in the morning, that's a rough time slot for a lot of people. It broke 100K at the end, which good for it, but obviously everybody knows, you know, the first game that plays on Sunday is always going to get the least amount of viewership. Then it exploded for Smash, as it always does, and I think I actually don't know what that hit. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Shame on me, because like I said, I wasn't watching the tournament itself. I was just kind of peeking over. So I'm not sure, well, excuse me, if it ever actually hit 200K. Because last year, I believe it went well over 200K. But the highest I saw it was like like 185, 186,000 viewers. So I don't know if it got over that. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna, you know, put it down as like this is exactly how many viewers this game got. Tekken 7, I wasn't paying attention at all. I was actually too absorbed in the matches to pay attention. That was a really good goddamn top 8. So I don't know. But Dragon Ball FighterZ, it hit 250K, and it dropped down to like 170 afterwards, and it kind of stayed around the 170 mark for Street Fighter V before I finally dipped out. So I don't know what it was like at the end, but obviously it was also getting broadcasted on ESPN. And just I gotta do this, my traditional shade throwing. James Chen was the commentator for the stream, so it would make sense if there were 1 million people watching on ESPN just to not have to listen to James Chen commentate. I wouldn't blame them for that at all. So that probably contributes to the mass exodus from that stream, is because James Chen came on. So good on you guys who all bailed on that. Fuck, I hope UNIST somehow blows the fuck up. I hope something gets its attention on that game and lets it become a mainline game at Evo and lets it become what it deserves. But it's just too anime. They fucked themselves by putting Mika in the game. That's what it is. Mika and Batista. It's those 2 characters. I'm going to also blame Phonon and Seth, because Seth could be mistaken for a little anime girl. If you get rid of those 4 characters, I promise you, UNIST will hit it big. This is not personal bias speaking in any way, shape, or form. This is not a personal wish list of who I wish would get removed from the game. I firmly believe that it's those 4 characters that prevent UNIST from gaining the traction it deserves. Bam! That's pretty much all I gotta say. I mean, Evo, well, actually not all I gotta say. I forgot to mention, well, it's not really my place to mention it. If you've been paying attention at all, I'm sure you've heard the stories about the poor organization that happened there. I know a bunch of people were complaining about 2 out of 3 for BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. And it actually kind of surprised me that they did that they didn't really learn their lesson. Because obviously, this is one of the issues about Evo organization, is that, as far as I'm aware, pretty much everybody involved is completely detached from the anime scene as a whole. Like, none of, maybe they have a little bit of knowledge of Guilty Gear, but they don't know shit about BlazBlue, they don't know shit about Persona 4, they don't know shit about UNIST, all this stuff, right? So, like, if one of those games pops up, they're not going to really know anything about it that's going to allow them to make educated decisions regarding how to run that tournament. And so, that's why they ultimately said best 2 out of 3, and we'll just see how it goes. Because they, like I said, they don't know shit about the game. They're not paying attention to it. They barely give a fuck, right? And so, because of that, it surprises me, because this exact same thing happened with Marvel vs. Capcom 3 when it first got released. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was 2 out of 3 for the first Evo, and it went by so fast. Everybody complained, everybody hated it, and from that point thereafter, Marvel vs. Capcom became best 3 out of 5. And it surprises me that they didn't have the foresight to see that maybe BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle would be in a similar shape, and not to, you know, be able to make a heads-up decision early on about that. But unfortunately, like I said, they just have kind of clearly shown they don't give that much of a shit about the anime games in general to make educated decisions surrounding them. So that was one big point of contention for the anime scene in general. One big problem with the tournament in general was just everybody was complaining about the way brackets were run. Everybody was complaining about how the venue worked. Like, they had pools start at 8 in the morning, but the doors to the venue didn't open up until 8 in the morning. So it's like 8:30 before everybody can even get in the door, but they have an 8 a.m. pool? That shit's not gonna work out. Like, who thought that shit through? You guys are assholes. And then you also had, because multiple tournaments were running at the same time, like, for a while, you basically had people split between, like, Kazunoko. He entered Street Fighter, he entered Guilty Gear, he entered BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, and he entered Dragon Ball FighterZ. He's in 4 of the main games that are there. 4 out of the 7. 8? Am I forgetting Injustice in there? Because you have the 2 Smash. I am forgetting Injustice. The 2 Smash, Tekken 7, Injustice. And he was in all the others, so he was in half of the games. And I think he wound up having to DQ himself from one of them in order to keep playing in another one, from what I heard. And I know this happened to multiple people, like, maybe not with the main games, but they did DQ themselves from side games just because, like, everything was running at the same time and they just couldn't run across the venue. So yeah, like, there's been, you can find them if you want to. I'm not gonna go over everything like it's bullet point, like I give a shit that much of poor organization. But it definitely was, it's pretty fucked up that you have, you know, the biggest fighting game of the year, and a lot of it isn't really run that competently. You would hope that, given the sheer size of it, number one, you would be prepared for it, but number two, you would have people who are aware of the games that they're overseeing, that are aware of the communities that they're a part of, you know, like all that shit. And it just has never really, like I said, it really feels like at that particular tournament, the anime scene is completely divided from everything else, and the people that are running the tournament just really don't know anything about the FGC for the anime game specifically. And that really sucks to see, and I really hope they learn their lesson from that, because I really don't think, like, certain tournaments are getting bigger and bigger and more well run continually over time, and I think if Evo continues to have these problems, it will stop being the premier tournament. it has the potential for that. And you would hope, again, like if they don't shape the fuck up, you kind of would hope that that would happen. Just so somebody who deserves that attention more gets it. That they care more, that they're more adept at their job, you know, whatever the case being. You would hope that they wind up picking up the slack and basically taking over that part. That'd be really, I don't know. So anyway, that's about it for me. Thank you for listening. I know it was very rambly. I had a schedule, not a schedule. I had notes to follow, and I just remembered what the notes were in my head, so I just completely didn't follow that, and I just kind of rambled my way through it all. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Hope you guys enjoyed watching Evo. Peace.